Hello, investing, entertainment-loving sisters and brothers near and far. Hope you're doing well. It's warmed up a solid 50 degrees into the 40s Fahrenheit where I am, so it's like almost shirt sleeve weather. Pipes are unfrozen, water flowing freely. It's been an interesting kind of throwback winter here so far. To start with, I had not been aware that Robert Kiyosaki had been a proponent of XRP. Did not know that. I had kind of gotten into, and some people can take or leave Robert Kiyosaki. Some people were really mortally opposed to his financial ideologies and positions. I had read his books maybe 20 years ago, and it made sense to me as an entrepreneur. And I got into real estate, commercial real estate, but the state I live in is such frankly, a socialist cesspool that it just was not a good fit. It's not a real business-friendly state. It's really tough for landlords. And so I just haven't really gotten back into that, but I have applied a lot of his principles to intellectual property. And I've kind of been doing that for about 20 years. However, he is apparently a proponent of XRP. I had seen some talks that he gave on YouTube where he was not super into crypto, and then he became more of a proponent of Bitcoin, and now he's talking XRP right alongside holding silver and other things, which I think is really interesting. Now, I'm not going to advise anyone on whether they should buy XRP or not. It's something I do because it's so easy to get into. I had seen sort of testimonials, quasi-testimonials from Elon Musk, now from Robert Kiyosaki, from some other people I follow. I had looked at the board of directors for Ripple, and it had kind of made sense to me to get involved, because right now I think it's at 52 cents today as of this filming. Some people are saying, well, with the market cap and this and that, it can't go above, $1 or whatever. Maybe, but I think if it's going to be adopted for cross-border transactions, and one of the things that makes it so attractive is the speed at which you can enact those transactions. I think Japan is really fairly financially invested in its future. I think there's going to be a kind of monumental agreement on its use because it's faster than things like SWIFT. And speed is of the essence with transactions. I cannot see it being under $1,000. Now, do not take what I just said as financial advice. You must do your own due diligence. It may or may not be a fit for you, and if you disagree, let me know. But I would think with tokenization, cross-border transactions, you'd have to see in the thousands. Some people are saying 10,000, or maybe even 35 or 40,000. And other people are like, that'll never happen. Well, people said the same thing about Bitcoin. So it's something that I've invested in, and seeing Kiyosaki kind of being a proponent for it in terms of investing and being a store of wealth that is less centralized. And the other thing too is with the SEC going hard at XRP, it just has to make you wonder, like, why would they do that? Some people are like, well, because it should be a security, or whatever the arguments are. My feeling is because the petrodollar is so propped up and is such a Ponzi scheme at this point, because it hasn't been attached to gold since I was a kid, that it's just an enormous Ponzi scheme. Whereas something like XRP, decentralized, it's on the blockchain, it has real world value for financial institutions. XLM kind of is more set up for peer-to-peer, person-to-person transactions, but that's another one I've invested in. So maybe it's worth looking at. Do not take what I'm saying as financial advice. I will deny it in court. But it was cool to see Robert Kiyosaki kind of go in that route, and I had not been aware that he had been a proponent. So I don't agree with every last thing Kiyosaki says or every last thing everybody says, but that was kind of a tick on a box for me. So, I don't even think I checked AMC yesterday. I looked at it today and I'm like, man, is this an all-time low? It's not like 416 or something the last time I looked. Is that technically an all-time low? Because it would be like 41 cents, right? 42. I'll bump it up and say 42 cents. I have a hard time taking that seriously. Now, CSI, Common Sense Investor, had said that AMC looked like it was making moves to get rid of Adam Aron, which I'm actually a proponent of. However, I don't think that's the entire issue. If the board, who are likely major stakeholders, major investors, stockholders, I should say, shareholders, was not making moves over the past 2 or 3 years to get rid of this clown and set things up differently, I would be less inclined to believe that they are in collusion with the guy who's in collusion with the shorts. I just don't see this board as being worthwhile at all. And I see shareholders as having very little in terms of leverage. And I've seen that before. I've been in boardrooms where suddenly you realize the CEO is in cahoots with somebody else. And you, me, a board member, is on the hook for a bunch of money, and you have very little recourse except to make that guy's life miserable. I've literally been in that position as a vice president of a company, as a board member. Horrible position to be in. I'm not sure the board is in exactly that position. I think, honestly, they are in collusion. That's just my feeling. And Adam Aron, I guess, was tweeting. I haven't read it, but supposedly people were, saying, "Oh, he's tweeting about how bad the movie industry is." Nice job, Adam. Go ahead and sandbag your stock a little more. He's just a clown, who wants a raise. I have a hard time getting behind that. I have friends who are like, no, you know what? Think positive, average down. Is that the term? I can't even remember now. Wait, let's hope it goes to 2 so we can really load up. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing that. And if you want to do that, that's fine. Maybe you're right. I hope you're right. Because I'm still holding. But, how close are we to another reverse split where I'm going to be holding like 4 shares or some crazy thing? I saw that Gary Gensler had been talking on Twitter about the SEC really getting serious new rules. I'm like, man, how about just enforce the ones you have? I can't take this guy seriously. It's just a constant stream of bullshit. Kind of just moving things along. We need a hard reboot of American finance, and that may not be much fun, which is why crypto and digital currency of various sorts may be the way to go, in terms of storing your wealth. So that's not financial advice. I don't offer that kind of thing. But people say, oh, that's just the natural fallout of capitalism. No, it's not. Capitalism would allow me to compete and come right at somebody in the marketplace with equal footing without collusion from a well-armed government. That's cronyism. Crony capitalism, not the same thing. Well, capitalism leads to crony capitalism. Yeah, well, cronyism also leads to things like socialism, communism, a bunch of other isms that I'm not a huge fan of. So no, garden variety nationalized socialism, not my favorite idea at all, ever. Socialism, for me, works at the tribal or local level. You can be a great neighbor. Indigenous peoples have made a kind of participatory socialism work in their own cultures. Forced nationalized socialism, not a fan at all. And I've visited countries where people have been trying to extricate themselves from that for generations. So, at any rate, I do feel like there's just a lot of great stuff to invest in. Obviously, I'm not going to preach about intellectual property investments again, though I am a big proponent. The X coins, that's a great one for me. I always pick up a few precious metals and hunt for gemstones. Just the hunting for them is fun. And I'm in a part of the world where sapphires and sunstones and things like that can be mined and stored, and that's kind of a fun process and cool to get your kids involved with, so they can see, hey, you can actually pull wealth out of the earth in a non-impactful way. I'm not running enormous sluice operations that are digging pits or anything. I'm just going out into the desert and seeing little glints of stones on the surface of the Oregon desert and mining little sunstones. It's a lot of fun, and over time I think it's a great way to accumulate and store wealth of various sorts. Anyway, I hope you and yours, wherever you may be, are doing well. And I think there's just a lot to still invest in. For those of us who still holding AMC, I don't think it's the end of the world. I just don't think it's a fantastic narrative right now. So at any rate, that's it for me. Take care of yourselves. Talk to you soon.